To open up this video, I wanted to take a look at a poll published on Twitter by PSF Updates. This was back from August 11th, 2023, and the question is pretty simple. Of the NHL's most recent Calder Trophy nominees, who is most likely to avoid a sophomore slump in 23-24? Matty Beniers of the Kraken, Stuart Skinner of the Oilers, or Owen Power of the Buffalo Sabres? Now, I'll admit the sample size of votes isn't really that big. There were only 15 people who voted on this after all, but Matty Beniers had the most votes with 53.3%. Most of the people who were looking at this tweet, which admittedly wasn't much, it only had 300-something views, most people thought that Matty Beniers of the Seattle Kraken would avoid the sophomore slump. And that's a fair assumption to make, right? Last year, Matty Beniers was the Rookie of the Year with 57 points in 80 games played. He was an important player for the Kraken. He also was at half a point a game in the playoffs with 7 points in the 14-game sample over there. Beniers is a competent, just overall, every situations type of center that has a good two-way game. He plays well along the boards, he can create plays, he can facilitate the puck properly. He is a no-nonsense player in every respect of the word. And he has been one of these guys where, if he pans out to his ceiling of, let's say, 70 to 80 points per year, this could be a really solid number one center who could just do everything right. Not necessarily the highest point producer, but a guy everywhere on the ice. And as a result, because his play in his rookie season was so good, he had fans of the NHL saying, yeah, he's probably going to avoid a sophomore slump in 23-24. He may have a slight increase in points, right? Considering he's going to get better, he's going to get older. The Seattle Kraken didn't really make too many drastic changes over the offseason, so this is a team coming back with more or less the same roster as a team that went to the second round last year. You gotta remember, the Seattle Kraken knocked out the reigning Stanley Cup champion Colorado Avalanche in last year's first round, so there's a lot of fodder here for good play. But this season, in 23-24, Matty Beniers has unfortunately gotten off to that sophomore slump. Here's the post made on the NHL Network's Twitter account. In 10 games, Matty Beniers has 3 assists, 0 goals, he's a -12, and he is averaging 18.33 of time on ice per game. Now, if you wanted to reference the other guys who were nominated for the Calder last year, Owen Power is at 6 points in 10 games right now. He's on pace for 49 points, which would be an increase over what he did last year, and by a pretty significant margin, too. Owen Power has had the complete opposite of a sophomore slump. It's a sophomore boost, I would say. Meanwhile, Stuart Skinner in the Edmonton Oilers system, I feel like it's kind of unfair to compare last year to this year because, yeah, he was really good last year to the point that he got that Calder nomination, .914 save percentage in 50 Oilers games, but the Oilers have been so bad this year that he's down there at an .861 right now. So, huge decline for Skinner. I don't know if I want to say it's his fault. Maybe part of it is, but the Oilers have not been great to either of their goaltenders, so it's not really 100% his bad. But for Matty Beniers, he has exhibited that same sophomore slump. He's on pace for 22 points in 82 games played. He's a -11 right now, too. That games played total is up to 11 because the Kraken played the other night, and Beniers still has 3 points only in this season. If you want to take a look at what some Seattle Kraken fans are saying in regards to the Beniers slump, let's go over onto the Kraken sub and read what Sita Crunch's post goes out there and talks about. Matty sophomore slump. -12 after 10 games and 0 goals. Yikes. Hoping Matty snaps out of this funk and fast. DJ Walrus goes out there and says this, to my untrained eye, it looks like Matty Beniers is being utilized differently in the scheme. It's like he's ending up in high-traffic areas and shut down quickly. He is better able to utilize his skill more with some open ice. Whereas Karche is a better fit for this type of system. I mostly agree, iPullCaps says. Beniers isn't the go-to guy for open ice so far, and I'd argue that Ty Karche is. That much I think we can see has been true. Another reply says, from what I've seen, they're using him like Yanni Gourde. They've got him hustling hard and playing good defense and battling for pucks. It looks to me like they kinda said, we know you can score, but we need you to work on your other skills right now. And here's the thing, when it comes to Beniers getting thrusted into more high-danger areas, getting put into more traffic, These are the types of things that you do for a player that for sure are going to slow down their points. Matty Beniers putting him with less open space is not going to give him any favors in terms of the score sheet. But if a guy like Beniers, who was already really talented last year, is able to use this experience and grow further past it, develop extra skills that he may not have needed to use so much last year, and add that into his skill set, then it would make him a much better player in the long term for him to go through this kind of turmoil, especially when he's only 21 years old. Well, he's actually 20 right now, but his birthday's in 2 days, so happy early birthday to Mr. Matty Beniers. If this is the type of thing that the Seattle Kraken want him to focus on, more so on just transitioning the puck, winning more battles, being used in more dangerous areas, if he's able to overcome these obstacles, and they give him more space later on, then it would turn him into an absolute force, an even bigger beast than what we thought he could be capable of. That is a really interesting idea for development, and it's one that I don't think many NHL fans in general are too used to seeing. Hey, we have a prospect, a young guy, whose formula worked in the NHL, he won the Calder, now we're going to toss him into a completely different situation that's going to lower his point production and is going to give him more of a hard time. We want him to grow past that, and we want him to be better because of it. Again, that's uncommon. Like, when do you ever see that type of development being done with a player? There also are a few other comments saying, oh, this is the Calder curse, this is going to be good when the Kraken try to extend him because it's not going to be too expensive. There are a few other comments saying that he's getting hit way too much. There are a few other comments that are more critical about Beniers' game this year, like this one from Wampy. It looks like he's a completely different player. He's not taking guys on. He's much slower in quick bursts and not holding onto the puck like he used to. But another thing that I wanted to bring up as well is the fact that the Seattle Kraken haven't really been all too great this season. They have played 10 games, they're 3-5-2, they've lost more than they've won, and guys like Jamie Oleksiak and Adam Larsson have been absolute tanks on my fantasy team because they're racking up so many hits and so many blocks. This Seattle Kraken team has not really had things going for them in the ways that they had last season when they ended up beating the Colorado Avalanche. A bunch of guys on the Seattle Kraken have been going through a mini slump or so. There are a few guys who have been alright. I mean, Jared McCann, Bjorkstrand. You have the Jaden Schwartzes at the top of the list of points. They're doing alright. Vince Dunn is in there too. But a lot of the depth and other players on this Seattle Kraken squad have not really been pulling their weight in the ways that we thought they would be. Jordan Eberle, for example, that guy's only got 3 points in 11 games too. Last season, he was a 60-point player for the Kraken, for example. So it's not just Beniers, there are a few guys on this team that have been a little bit lackluster, and the team as a whole has not been winning too many games, so at the end of the day, I'm not going to be too surprised or disappointed in the way Matty Beniers has navigated this season so far. If the plan is to really put him in a tough spot, then hey, the Kraken are doing that, and as long as Beniers is able to persevere like he has his entire career so far, this will be a pretty good move, assuming everything works itself out. But for now, he's got 3 points in 11 games played. Big sophomore slump to start out 23-24 after winning the Calder last season, and I want you to let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I hope you enjoyed this video, and bye.